Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for March the 15th. Hey, before we get into the fishing report with Tracy, Tom, Gentry, and Lee, let's talk a little bit about what's coming here at Bucks Island. The Bassmaster Classic is next week. We'll be down there covering that, so watch some stuff there. But also, Fish Fest is right around the corner. March 28th are the demo rides right down here at Southside Landing. 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you can ride in a Skeeter, a Falcon, a Bass Cat, and the new Icon boats, the new here at Bucks Island. Come check that out. And then, of course, Fish Fest itself on Saturday, the 29th, all the seminars, all the pros, all the vendors, everything you expect from Fish Fest. And we're going to feed you. But right now, we're going to check in with what the guys have to say about fishing in our area. We'll be right back. Hey, it's not quite St. Patrick's Day, but we're going to go talk fishing and finding rainbows with pots of gold at the end in the form of bass. Tom, what's going on here on Guntersville?
Well, I tell you, you don't have to rub a Blarney Stone to catch fish out there right now, Dano. I mean, the fishing's been really, it's been really good. I was telling some folks that it's not been stellar, at least for me, but it's been very good. The fish are kind of, they're moving around a lot. The bait's moving around a lot. We've had a lot of weather shifts. The current, we had a lot of heavy current. I've gotten out twice this week, so I've kind of got to see some wind and not so much wind, but a lot of sun. So the fish are really on the move. I mean, they're making that push. Definitely with this full moon. I mean, we're going to see, some big fish caught this weekend, I'm sure. But, depending upon the storms and how you're going to brave them. But as far as the fish, it's been kind of tough to catch a lot of fish in one little area. I mean, you can certainly run across that. But what I've been seeing is the patterns. We talked about it earlier, ditches, troughs, whatever you want to call them. I call them doolollies, but anything like that. Those little areas with the points that are coming up into spawning flats really seem to be the ticket right now. And the rattle trap is certainly catching a lot of fish. Chatterbaits, you can catch a lot of fish on a jerk bait. I mean, they're just in all columns of the water. So it's really it's a smorgasbord. You just got to pick your poison and go after it.
What about crappie? I know we talked about them starting to move when it got warmer. Has that happened yet?
Absolutely. The crappie, I've got a good friend of mine that in just a couple of hours, in 2 different days, he put limits in the boat right there on the causeway. So that's definitely happened. Those fish are really starting to move into those back creek areas. They're starting to get ready, especially the stumps, things like that, where the crappie like to spawn. That's where you want to go look for them. I think probably live bait's the best deal, but I know you can catch some out there on artificial for sure.
All right. And then the bass bite, you talked about rattle traps. I'm sure a jerk bait bite is probably working. I'm sure you
Oh,
can catch them on bladed jigs. What about a swim bait? Are you seen any of that?
the swim bait is definitely coming. I like a little underspin, especially when these fish get a little shallow. They get hungry and they start guarding a little bit more. That's really picking up. The A rig, of course, is if you can get out there in 5 6 foot of water, that's going to kill them every time, especially with all the bait that's around. You can even find some of that bait, hanging around some of these deeper areas that just have a shallow little area with some grass points on it or something like that. The bass are really set up to ambush and move into that shallow water with the bait.
Tom, as always, brother, we appreciate all the tips. Have a great weekend. Be safe with this weather coming in, and we'll talk to you next week. Hey, it's March the 15th, and we got ourselves a Lee Pitt sighting. He is not a leprechaun, but he brings us luck all the time. Lee, what's going on at Neely Henry?
I need a little rub of that Irish on me right now, some of that luck. But the crappie, it's that time of year they're turning on. It's kind of a mix of a few different things right now. We've had some weather issues again. It's like a broken record the last 3 weeks. We've had some high winds, but when you can get out there and get around them, the crappie, you can catch them right now. We've still got some fish on the lower end of Neely that are still in that deep water. They're in the creeks. So if you're like to push minnows or a vertical fishing guy that likes to get in there and hit those treetops and fish for them deep, you can still catch them that way. Still, also, we got some fish that have moved up shallow with the long liners and the guys that like to throw a float. Um, you get a good day where the wind's not too bad, and you can get back in the backs of some of these creeks and pull for them, catching a lot of fish that way. Also, it's that 4 or 5 foot range. If you get some sunshine, those fish are pulling up. They're following the bait. The bait's pulling up in that shallow water too. So that's what they're doing. What I've been doing is looking for some of your bays that have got some harder bottoms, maybe a little bit of gravel or some rock in them. With me pulling, it seems to be working with that and that 4, 5, 6 foot of water. You got to have some sunshine with it too, though. So that's a little something else you got to look for.
What about the bass bite? How's that going?
Bass are they're doing pretty good. It's just kind of they're still in that transition right now that everybody's thinking, okay, we're 2 days away. Here it comes. It's coming. Starting to catch some though on plastics, getting in the mouse and getting in some of these pockets. They're starting to make their push to get in there, cleaning the banks a little bit. So hey, it's that time of year. They're going to jump up there overnight. So I would stay shallow if I was going to be trying to catch some largemouth right now. I would get up in that shallow stuff. Chatterbait's been good. You're once again your flat-sided crankbaits, but right now the plastics are coming into play too.
Yeah, and I know, and obviously I was not able to figure out what they were doing, but I know at that new Spear Point Team Series thing that Art Newberryan ran, Dalton Mize and his partner won that thing with 22. Jason Morgan was at 21 pounds, and then Justin Elliott, our friend, and former Bucks Island guy, he was at 17, and then it kind of fell off from there. I do know a chatterbait bite was working well, and then some flipping stuff, but I don't know exactly what they were doing, but it's still a good bite out there. Lee, brother, man, we appreciate everything. Be safe this weekend with the weather. We know it's going to get a little sporty. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, Tracy Robinson's getting ready for his ABT tournament this weekend, but we're going to talk a little bit of Logan Martin and Lay Lake. Tracy, you pick where you want to start.
We'll go with Logan first. Logan coming off the Coosa River Team Trail there this past week. A lot of fish caught. There's a lot of big bags caught in that tournament down there. It seemed the main lake bars was kind of the key player there. We talked a little bit about that last week. Your rattle traps, jerk baits, shallow running crankbaits on those river bars caught most of the fish. The guys that I talked to out there, some of those guys still out there trying to scope a little bit. I think that bite's kind of phasing out a little bit, but that was the main deal, is staying on those river bars and staying in some pretty good looking water. These rains that we've got coming this weekend probably going to mess that up, at least from the watercolor perspective, but it's going to add a little current to the lake. So, probably change tunes a little bit from the bars to the eddy breaks, if you will, going in after this weekend. So that's kind of what I think is going on right now with Logan.
Um, do you think the weather's going to push them out, or do you think it's going to maybe start driving them in with some of that water coming in?
That's a tricky one, Dano. We've talked about that a lot. The past 2 days. A lot of thunder, lightning, and whatnot seems to run a lot of fish out of the shallows. But at the same time, if that water comes up 2 or 3 feet with some floods, the fish tend to follow the floods and come to the bank with it with the warm rain. So there's a lot of different things that are going to go on right now with the current and the water levels and the water temperatures, that it's almost so many factors that I'd hate to even predict on it, Dano.
Yeah. What about crappie bite down there? What are you seeing?
I'm not seeing anybody crappie fishing this week, so I'll try to do a better job paying more attention to that on the crappie guys. But I'm not seeing the boats out on the water crappie fishing.
All right, let's cover Lay Lake real quick. What's going on there?
Lay Lake, the grass bite's still good. The water temperature keeps climbing. It's up mid to upper 50s now, almost 60. And the swim jig bite in the grass is the better one for me. There's other ways to catch them out there, on the points, and still some of that flat side crankbait. There's still a lot of guys chasing the spotted bass with the forward facing sonars in the mid to lower end of the lake. The timber's still holding some fish too, so there's a lot of different ways to catch them right now. For me, the largemouth and the swim jig is kind of the key deal. Your frog bite, your top water is probably going to start happening over the next few days. Just this morning, we saw some fish blowing up shad, up in 2 foot of water. And if I'd had a top water bait on, I could have caught those. So that bite's kicking off as well.
Yeah, and then the crappie are going to start to kind of follow and move into some of those creeks and around the docks up there too. So they're still probably out there a little bit deeper. But Tracy, brother, we appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again next week. Good luck this weekend. Hey, we're getting ready to bust on down to the Bassmaster Classic, but we're going to take some time here to talk to Gentry Gordy. He's a classic. He's going to tell us what's going on at Lake Martin and at Jordan Lake. Gentry, what's happening?
Dano, Lake Martin's starting to pick up. I hadn't had a chance, but talked to some buddies that went up there. Still catching a lot of fish on a red flat side, like a foot side, 5 and the 7. Bouncing off wood and blow down, stuff like that. If you get a little ripple in the water, spinnerbait bite's still there. My dad went. I talked to him. Just a Texas rig worm on some shallower points with some chunk rock on it. And my best friend fished the OGS Hardy and had a 4.5 pound largemouth on a frog. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's starting to get there.
What about the crappie bite? What are you hearing out of that?
Picking up as well. Talked to another friend about that and said that, hey, when you find a group of them and they're good quality size, they're just, there's a bunch of them there that size. He said there's small groups and then you got groups with better than average. He seems like they're grouped together by size right now.
Okay. What about Jordan Lake? I know that's got some water going through the system because the whole Coosa does. Is it dirty? Are we moving? Or are we having to kind of hunker down?
No, you can move up there. You can do both. But my style of fishing is just moving. Swim jig in the dead grass. Now I'm slowing it down some. Not burning it like you would early spring, but more or less picking it up, hopping it over some of them dead stems is getting some good bites, and flipping it with a big weight. You can do that year round at Jordan. The river bites there, like a ball jig coming down some of those eddies is getting some big bites, and of course your forward-facing sonars and your Alabama rig, and your jerk baits are still dominant on the spots.
It's still taking largemouth to do well there, correct? You got to find a good largemouth or two.
It's hit or miss. Yeah, I mean, of course, if you can get 1 or 2 big largemouth, but man, the spots I've been seeing come out of there lately, you can easily win with 5 spots.
Okay. What about crappie there? Are you hearing anything?
I haven't heard anything. I've got a buddy that's all he does up there. Just didn't get a chance to talk to him. But I'd be, it's just the time of year. I'd be willing to think they're probably doing the same thing.
Gentry, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. We hope you're doing well down there. Please watch for the weather this weekend. It's about to get sporty again. We'll talk to you soon. Well, that wraps up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, March 15th. Thanks to the guys for everything that they share with us every week. It helps keep us on the fish. We hope it does you as well. Come on by and see us at Bucks Island. Hey, we got a scratch and dent sale going on right now. We got some pontoon boats and some other boats around that might need a little bit of tender love and care, but you can save some money on it. If you're looking for that boat, come see Katie, Patrick, and Melissa in the sales department. Come see Pat and everybody in parts. If you're looking for something for your boat, of course, Misty and everybody in service will be able to take care of you and get you back on the water. And then if you're looking for that tackle item, go see Colin and Jamie upstairs in the loft. We're here for you at Bucks Island. We appreciate you. Don't forget Fish Fest coming up soon.